Music. Music is the answer for everything. Did you just meet someone for the first time and you're looking for a conversation topic? Music! Are you at a party and it feels awkwardly quiet? Music! Did your girlfriend just break up with you and you need a way to express your sorrow? I think you know exactly what I'm about to say. The point is, music unites us.
That's why I'm here to judge it and tell you what music you should risk playing in your parents' car in hopes they don't lecture you about it later. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what the real meat and potatoes of this video is, so I'll go ahead and give it to you. I'm going to be going through a band's discography and ranking all of their albums and giving you my thoughts and recommendations. Now, of course, I have to say that this is all opinion-based, and it wouldn't be right of me not to recommend that you go out and make your own opinions, because maybe yours are different than mine, and that's okay. Now, who's today's music artist, you might be asking? Have you ever been watching Coraline and you get the Other Father song stuck in your head? Or maybe your science teacher played a song during your space unit and it went something like, "The sun is a mass of incandescent gas." Well, my friends, both of these songs were written by the band They Might Be Giants. Before we look at music, it's best to look into the artists themselves. They Might Be Giants consists of two main members, John Linnell and John Flansburgh, but for the sake of this video, we'll just be calling them Linnell and Flansburgh. Linnell and Flansburgh met in Lincoln, Massachusetts in elementary school. They split ways and later found each other again in Brooklyn in 1981, and they've been making music ever since. In their time together, They Might Be Giants has created 24 albums, 6 EPs, and 7 singles. And this isn't counting their set of children's albums, which unfortunately will not be included in this ranking. And they have another album set to release on April 14th. Their genre consists of mostly alt-rock, but their real drawing feature is the lyrics to their songs. Their songs' lyrics often have little to no meaning, make zero sense, and tell very nonsensical tales. A few fun facts. As I mentioned in the intro, They Might Be Giants wrote the Other Father song for Coraline, which was then performed by John Linnell in the movie. However, did you know that Coraline was supposed to be entirely tracked by They Might Be Giants, but it actually got cut? You can find one of those cut songs on their album The Else under the name Careful What You Pack. This was not the only music they did for TV. They also made the song Hot Dog, heard in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and the theme song for Malcolm in the Middle. Now, I would say I'm pretty well versed on music. After all, my main playlist is over 55 hours long, somehow. But if I want to do this to the best of my ability, then I'm going to need to know more about rating music. For this, I consulted a few people who I knew would be a great help in this absolutely trying matter.
It's a really good question. I think I approach it just from a art as a whole perspective and not necessarily specifically music. One, because music is a type of art form. Two, because that's where my background is in education. So when judging any art piece, I think, yes, there are good qualities and there are bad qualities for art pieces. However, it is really hard to judge an art piece as wholly good or bad. One being because I struggle with the idea, but yes, art is inherently subjective. There are going to be bad things people enjoy. There are going to be good things that people don't enjoy. That's just the way it goes. However, there are cases where a piece can be considered wholly bad. It is very hard to achieve. I need to specify that. It's very hard to achieve a piece that is wholly bad. There are those out there. Good is a really fine, identifiable label to put on a lot of different art pieces and that a lot of people would agree with. When you're looking at art objectively and not subjectively, there are principles and ideas that you can judge objectively, and you can try to put an objective label on it. However, at the end of the day, it is still how it's perceived is the subjective point. Yes, I think it's possible to judge an art piece, or music in this case, as good or bad. I will add, though, it is very hard to actually be a bad piece of art. Step one, listen to it more than once. I think a lot of people are listening to albums the day it comes out and posting reviews the day it comes out. You cannot review an album in a single day. You need to listen through it not once, at least twice, probably multiple times to get a general feel for it. Number two is, at the end of the day, a lot of it depends on what the album is trying to do. For example, you take a look at concept albums Those are very much so trying to create a cohesive image, a cohesive through line through the piece. You're going to judge it based on that. However, if you're looking at the traditional sense of an album, where it is just a collection of songs from a certain era, or just collections of songs in general, then you're not going to judge it through that lens. So I think that's one, if it's a concept album, or if it's just a collection of songs. You're going to judge those two things differently. With my music, I try to make everything concept albums, so I really pride myself and judge a lot of music based on that. And then when you're looking at genre in an album, I would say most albums stick to one genre and just kind of hammer forward. There are also those that stick to one genre so hard that the music kind of starts to blend together. And if you ever listen to an album and you're like, man, every song sounds the same on this album, or I can't tell where I'm at on this album, that is often a sign that there's not enough variety on the album. But that's where listening to the album multiple times comes in. And then just the quality of each of the individual songs is obviously a proponent. One thing I want to make clear though, like I said earlier, this ties into the earlier thing we talked about, when viewing art, there are objective qualities to art. You as the reviewer, you as the viewer, you as the listener, can try to be as objective as possible. However, there will never be a wholly objective review. There will never be, because you are a human being who comes from your own background, comes from your own political system, and all of that dictates your view on art. You can try to be as objective as possible, you will not succeed. So, it's important to note that when you're reviewing an album, a lot of it is based on your background. So, the best thing you can do is to embrace that. Embrace your subjectivity, recognize it.
Now that we have a good sense of how to rank albums, I'm going to be giving you my top 3 with a couple of notes, and then I'll say the others after. I would love to give notes for all of them, but unfortunately we do not have the time for that. Now, for our number 1 album, drumroll, please. Flood, with a whopping 10 out of 10 score. Flood is They Might Be Giants' most popular album, and for good reason. Each of the songs are so different from one another, which gives a really unique listening experience. This album is also home to 2 of their most popular songs, such as Birdhouse in Your Soul and Istanbul, Not Constantinople. Now, our number 2 album is Nanobots with an 8 out of 10. Nanobots was their first step into a more modern genre, and it really shows. Also, for anyone who's a fan of the show Arrested Development, the song Call You Mom off of Nanobots is based off the character of Buster Bluth. And finally, for our number 3, it's a 3-way tie. Do you guys mind if I go ahead and choose this one myself? Okay, our number 3 is going to be Join Us with a 7 out of 10. This album is the perfect summer album. It's upbeat, it's fun, it's catchy, it's really everything you could ask for. It just reminds you of sitting in the backseat of your car, windows are open, you're really soaking in the fresh air and the sunlight. It's just a great album. The rest of the albums are as follows. Factory Showroom, 7 out of 10. I Like Fun, 7 out of 10. The Spine, 6 out of 10. Mink Car, 5 out of 10. Glean, 5 out of 10. Book, 5 out of 10. Miscellaneous Tea, 5 out of 10. Apollo 18, 4 out of 10. The Else, 4 out of 10. Phone Power, 4 out of 10. Lincoln, 4 out of 10. Severe Tire Damage, 4 out of 10. This is a live album, so technically I shouldn't be counting it. However, there is one original song on the album called Dr. Worm. That gave the album its 4 points. I have never felt the floor shake at a concert as much as it did when I saw Dr. Worm played live. Long Tall Weekend, 3 out of 10. John Henry, 2.5 out of 10. Working Undercover for the Man, 2 out of 10. They Got Lost, 2 out of 10. The Spine Source Alone, 1 out of 10. Self-Titled, 1 out of 10. Finally, The Spine Hits the Road, Venue Songs, and At Large are all live albums, meaning they get no ranking. Overall, I give They Might Be Giants a 7 out of 10. They're super fun, they're super quirky, they have a lot of really good and catchy songs. I recommend them. I've seen them live before. they're great. And once again, this is all opinion. I highly recommend you go listen to them and make your own opinion. Maybe it's your style, maybe it isn't, but go give them a listen. I think you'll enjoy them.